Everybody's reeling, no concealing. Your beauty is seed stealing. Violins are singing, sunset's waiting, radiating. Your entrance is breathtaking. Why must the show go on? I can't say these lines again. Why must the show go on? Must I sing this song again?
All right, let's get to the Wednesday edition of the Sunday Roundtable. We started doing this about a year ago. Al Rodella and Jeff reached out to me and wanted to start doing a Sunday Roundtable. We've been doing it every Sunday. We took some Sundays off, but we've been doing it for over a year. We've had over 100 panelists on. I've learned so much every single time we do one of these, so I'm looking forward to this one. I think I'm going to learn how to probably make a good cocktail, or what I should drink at a 4-wall after party. But hey, learning is learning, right? I am joined once again by my co-host Jeff Kreuter. Jeff,
hey,
how you doing?
Drew. It's daytime.
I know, it's morning time for me.
I know, we never do this during the day. It's nice to see you with light in the room here. It's a totally different lighting atmosphere for the 4-wall Sunday Roundtable on Wednesday.
Yeah.
How are you today?
I'm doing good. It's 8 o'clock in the morning here. It's third day of the virtual vendor showcase, and everything's going good. I'm excited about this panel for sure.
Yeah, me too. I'm going to, before we bring the panelists in, I'm going to repeat something I said at the start of the previous Sunday Roundtable, since we're now actually in the virtual vendor showcase. So maybe it's more relevant. I'm not a 4-wall employee. I'm sort of 4-wall adjacent. So I can very objectively say thank you to 4-wall for the virtual vendor showcase last year and now this year. And especially last year, when so many of us were confused about what was happening and what we were supposed to do, both professionally and personally. It was great timing. We all of a sudden all had something to do, like some way to connect to our business. Under other circumstances, I will confess I may not have watched, but in looking for that connection, I did and really enjoyed it. And I've actually, that's partly why we are doing these roundtables, because I saw Drew and I saw what 4-wall could do, and Al and I talked about it, and we were like, this seems like perfect, like what a great extension. So I feel like the virtual vendor showcase this year is kind of a bookend to all of it. We are not quite all back yet. We will be back to 100%. I think everyone's pretty confident about that, but we're not yet. Some people are, some people aren't, and most people aren't, I think. But it's coming soon. So this seems like a great time to connect, check in again, and see what the manufacturers have been up to, and to check in with our guests today and see what they've been up to. They are all regular attendees of the various industry showcases and conventions. So we thought it might be nice to hear from them about their experiences, both professionally and maybe sitting around a bar in Las Vegas. So here we are.
Cool. Well,
let's do it.
Let's bring in our first panelist, who's actually sitting behind a bar. Everybody knows him as Chippa, Customer Development at TMB. Hey guys, Chippa, how you doing?
I'm doing well, guys. How are you? Thanks for having us on.
Not as good as you are, I'll say that.
Well, with not being able to be at the shows for the past couple of years, being able to practice and keep those skills honed for when we get back to these trade shows and get those perfect Bloody Marys flowing again for everybody.
100%. Love it. And our next is lighting designer Harriet Goldman. Hey, Harriet.
Hey, guys. How are you?
Doing good. Thank you so much for joining us.
Great.
And
thanks for having me on.
Yeah, no problem. Next is entertainment, light, and media programmer Kat West. Good morning,
Hi,
Kat.
good morning. Hi, how are you?
And that cameo from Carol Baskin, I know your name's Kat, that was not on purpose.
It was very distracting. No, it was cute.
And last and certainly not least, four-wall account executive John Velez.
Hey, everybody. Good morning.
John.
Good afternoon. Yeah. Thanks for inviting me.
Yeah, no problem.
Absolutely. Let's dive right in. Why don't we start with Chippa. Chippa, what kind of work do you do and where do you do it?
I work with TMB. I've been honored to work there for the past 20 years, through all the shenanigans. I'm an outside sales guy and customer development. We used to travel all over the world, probably been to most people's offices in many different countries. My main role is to support the customers, product demonstrations, sort out any issues, and just provide that professional service that TMB is well known for.
Cool. Harriet, how about you?
I'm a lighting designer, and just like you, and I do anywhere that light is needed. That's where you'll find me. I started in theater. I transitioned into a little bit of television in the 90s. I do live events, large corporate meetings, permanent installations like a water feature at LaGuardia Airport or the Little Island that's on the West Side Highway right now. Anywhere there's light. We're lucky enough because of our manufacturers and because the way technology has changed that everybody is using light somewhere, where 30 years ago it was just, theater and rock and roll. So, yeah.
Cool. Can't wait to see Little Island, gotta say. Good, nice to give it a plug.
It's great. It's beautiful.
Yeah, I hear. Kat, how about you?
I'm mostly a lighting programmer here in Los Angeles. I own a company with Joe Cabrera called Flash and Trash Works. And primarily programming, mostly concerts. There's been, done a little bit of some live broadcast, television, definitely the corporate thing here and there. But most of the things I think I get hired for in the last couple of years are concert lighting. And occasionally I stay on the tour as the lighting director, but usually it's a program and hand it off to someone.
Got it. Cool. I like the name of the company. It's great. John, how about you?
Well, I'm a recent hire at Four Wall, which is great. My previous life, I was a gaffer in New York City, pretty much working on features and little TV shows. But I'm on Four Wall. I'm with Four Wall now, and I'm sort of like a liaison between the film and TV world and Four Wall, and it's been great because there's so big changes in technology has kind of impacted the film and TV world. So it's cool. Everything's looking great for the future.
Yeah, great. Well, since you just sort of alluded to the next thing I wanted to ask, we'll stick with you. How did you start? What was the start of your career, and what was the path to where you are now?
So I started pretty far back around 1985 as a PA, a runner on set, and then kind of pushed myself more towards or leaned towards the lighting end of it. Sort of that drew a lot of attention to me, was lighting, and kind of followed that path to the union, and then actually started to work for a few gaffers in New York that really were very skilled, and spent pretty much 30 years in the IA just lighting sets and going on location, but really kind of specializing in film more than anything.
Cool. Chippa, how about you? How did it start for you, and what was your path to where you are now?
I guess it started back in the late 80s, early 90s. At school, I was a follow spot operator for a lot of school productions and local musical societies, and careers advisor when I was 15 came one day and handed me a piece of paper and said, listen, there's a thing going on, a pub down the street that they're looking, you might be interested in it. said, sure. So we went down, and there was a truck park there and some roadies, a pretty rough area at the time. And everyone was standing around, and I sort of jumped in the back of the truck and helped get the gear unloaded. Didn't know what I was meant to be doing, but it's given a roll of gaffer's tape and on a dirty bar floor, had to tape down the front of house looms and everything. It landed me my first job, a company called Electric Sunshine in Sydney. And then I was cleaning cables in an alley instead of playing school sport. So while my friends were working at the grocery store for $5 an hour, I was getting $50 for an afternoon's work, cleaning cables, which just led to gigs, and moved on through Chameleon Touring Systems in Sydney, Australia for 5 years. Met the friends at TMB, went walkabout, and just after 9/11 in 2001. And Tommy Stevenson sent me an email. It said, explicit Tommy Stevenson, that said, hey, come sweep the floors or sell park hands to AC Lighting. So I started in 2001 with TMB, and I haven't been fired yet, but it's been close a few times.
And there you are. Kat, how about you?
Well, I was in the 90s, I was going to UNLV studying theater. I thought I wanted to be a stage manager, and that was really where my focus was. And my last semester of college, I learned about a small club that was hiring what I was told was theater people. And I asked a friend, I'm like, no, but what's the job? And he just said theater stuff. So I applied, and the fantastic gentleman who hired me, he said, well, we have a hog. Can you run a hog? And I'm, obviously no, I couldn't. But I just went, yeah, I'm 21. Sure, I'll figure it out. There must be a manual somewhere. This was not there. I don't think there was YouTube then, so there weren't exactly like tutorials I could watch online. So it was just sort of like throw you in, figure it out. It was fun. It was good. I really enjoyed it, and got to do work at a couple of theaters. I've done the master electrician thing for a little while, and I worked for High End Systems for a few years, and that was where I was teaching people how to program. So my job was giving classes and making some of their videos.
Oh, fantastic! Are they still available for people to watch?
Possibly. This was when Hog 3 came out. So it might be buried deep in the website. It's certainly on the Console Trainer website.
On the spot.
Yeah. I couldn't really tell you. Hopefully they're not. I have them available. They're old, but they work.
If anyone has a Hog 3.
If you need to program a Hog 3.
Yeah, that's right. Herrick, what was your path to where you are now? How did it happen for you?
Did theater in high school. I acted. I was a terrible actor, and there was a lighting console at the back of the auditorium, and that led to Mount Holyoke College Summer Theater in Western Mass. That was sort of one of those, you're an intern and you do absolutely everything, and the coolest crew was the lighting crew that the theater was in a tent, so you could only do the lighting at night. So you'd hang the lights, you'd ring them out, and then you have to wait for sunset, and you work until 4 a.m. And then the electrics lighting crew is the one that's crawling back into bed at 5 a.m. while everybody else is getting up to go paint the scenery. And that was the end of that. After that, I went to SUNY Purchase, and here we are.
It's a glamour career.
Totally.
And I'll say, Jeff, that is a reoccurring theme with wanting to be an actor, and then on the show for sure. We've heard it.
Strangely, that and like made my own puppet show when I was a kid, and there's been a bunch of those.
Yeah,
and not being able to sing.
Yeah, that's it. Well, here we are at the virtual vendor showcase. But before we get into that, let's play an old video from 2013 at a real vendor showcase.
Oh.
What can you say about the food? It's always the best. It's the best show that you could have. You come in, it's free food, free booze, all the vendors with all the gear. It's the greatest.
The food is phenomenal. Best food of any event, anywhere in our industry, and maybe beyond.
You get to see a lot of people. They get to see our gear, and it's a great relationship between us and our dealers.
Floor Wall Vendor Showcase is, I think, one of the favorite events in the industry
especially locally.
A great event because it allows me to reach out to the customer base, to meet a lot of new people, and to show them our new products.
It allows me the opportunity to see a lot of new products that I wouldn't see unless I visited, LDI or NAB or something like that.
Well, it's really the best place in the entire area to see all the cool new products out in the market, the new stuff to rent, to show my clients for their upcoming productions, and get to come see everyone at Four Wall, who I just email with most of the time, and have some good barbecue.
Four Wall's able to, bring a bunch of barbecue and drinks and fun, and of course some great technology. We can see that, but the real deal is being able to see everybody we work with, build on those relationships because it creates opportunities for us.
To keep abreast of everything that's going on, we can't always get to Vegas and see all the shows and Light Fair and LDI and all this stuff. It's really nice that you guys bring all of that here so that we can stay current with everything. It changes so quickly that from one day to the next.
Well, that was actually that was nice to see and then kind of sad. Like, oh.
I haven't aged a day.
Look beautiful as ever.
Beautiful as ever.
It would have been nice to have Al on too, but he's actually on a plane, which is good. I'm happy that people are traveling again, and that's actually super cool. So, Harriet, seeing you right there, I guess I'll start with you since you made your own cameo for us.
We don't need
what was your first?
Harriet Goldman.
Yeah, that's right. What was the first trade show you went to, and when and where was it?
Aside from job fairs, which used to happen in Boston when I was there, actually it was LDI, and it was 97. I was drafting in MiniCAD 5 for a company called New York City Lights, which was Dee Kazurjian and Bruce Ferry, and we were getting pretty good at it. We were developing something with John McKernan called LumaCAD, which would actually place lights and number lights and put channels and things. And I think it worked on HyperCard. And it was myself, Daryl Bornstein, Sam Jones, and we went out to the booth for Deal Graphsoft, which I think owned MiniCAD at the time, which ultimately became Vectorworks. And so I was in a booth for all of that trade show and promptly lost my voice trying to show people how to draft in MiniCAD. We were able to export to Lightright 2 back then when all of it didn't crash. But it was my first experience. I went out. Fred Bach was with us. Anyway, we went out. It was my first time in Vegas, and we had no money. But we got taken to dinner by a bunch of people, and it was the beginning of what LDI means to me. Is basically just getting to know everybody and seeing what the power of these trade shows. And it's really helped a lot and informed a lot of my work. So
cool.
Yeah, that's awesome. Kat, how about you?
I think the first one that I went to was an LDI in 2002 or 3. It was a Vegas year, so I don't remember if those were odds or evens. And that was convenient because I still lived in Vegas, so I just drive down. And just I just walked the floor. At this point, I didn't really know a whole lot of people. I certainly wasn't, doing any of the after party sort of events. No Circle Bar yet for me. My friends and I did go to Circle Bar, but not related to LDI. I think that was the first one. It was just sort of like walking around and seeing products, but not at all the way that we sort of experience LDI now.
Yeah, I think it's pretty funny. My first LDI was probably only like five or 6 years ago, but people from the Vegas office were getting hotel rooms, and I was like, why are you getting a hotel room? Why don't you just go home? And then after the first night, I was like, now I get it. Yeah, you don't go home. I get it. Chippa, how about you? Tell us about your first trade show.
My first real trade show was LDI in '99. I was actually still working for Chameleon Touring out of Sydney at the time. So, it was my first trip to America as well. So,
wow.
Yeah. So it was a real eye opener. On the way there, we stopped and looked at that old LAX installation, and I'd never had a car drive at me on the other side of the road, and I nearly got hit like 5 minutes off the plane in true fashion. But yeah, no, it was there to go and meet our vendors. You know, we communicated over the phone so much, but that real in-person, face-to-face. And it was the first time I actually got to meet a lot of the folks from TMB as well. So, you know, biddable place that you can always come and get a drink. So it suited me to a T.
Awesome. And John, how about you?
So I think my first one was the Orlando, was one of those off years. So being a New York film guy and just seeing the lighting design magazine was different. It was like a whole different experience. All those tools, we didn't use them. So we did, me and another fella who I think Harriet knows, Dwayne, we made the trip to Orlando. And I was like, wow, look at all of this stuff that lights up we could use on film sets. So that became one of those things where I would, champion to the film community, hey, guys, you're missing something. And then eventually I did, because of the schedule timing and stuff, I did make it out to Vegas. And I'd probably say 5 years ago was my first LDI in Vegas. And I was like, wow, this is pretty impressive. And and fortunately I've been able to go, schedule wise, and make it a point of putting it on the calendar that, this is where you go to learn and see the new products and see how you can get them in, the film industry, because it's definitely it's a little behind when it comes to automated gear. But yeah, I look forward to it. All, pretty much. We have another one now that I think Cinegear. I'm not sure if anybody's been to one of those. Mm-hmm. They're pretty cool too, which is geared again towards, just getting the word out. This is the new stuff, and be aware.
And that's the one that's at the Hollywood Studios, or? Yeah,
they do it. They move it around. It's at Paramount in the past, but I think it might be moved. This might be the last year for them. And it's an international one. Chip, okay. You've probably been there, right?
Yeah. Actually, it's a great experience, because getting to go and see actually some of the camera gear and the drones and the motorbikes and the chase cars and everything else like that, you just never get your hands on that sort of stuff. So
yeah,
fun. Wow, let's all go. But in the meantime, Kat, let's go to Kat next. Kat, this is a two-part question. How do you like to learn about new equipment and get information about gear? Let's talk pre-COVID. How do you like to learn about new equipment and get information? And when you're at a trade show, what do you look for, and how do you spend your time?
Well, since I'm very rarely the designer of a show, occasionally I design something, but usually I'm the programmer, so I'm not always the one speccing the gear. Some designers will ask you, have you worked with this or that, or what do you think of this? Most don't. They already know what they're doing. So occasionally you get asked for a little opinion. Pre-COVID, definitely would, see things yearly at LDI unless I was on another job and I couldn't go. Sometimes we go to Plaza as well.
Sure.
The trade shows are great to see them in real life. Certainly the easiest way is manufacturer websites, and they always have a video. But there's just, the videos can't really convey how it is. Even the trade show can't really convey how it's going to work for me. I really need to get my hands on the light. I need to be controlling it, playing with it, seeing what it can and can't do. Because you can watch a demo, but that doesn't really mean anything. How is it going to be? And there's some lights that we think they're going to be great. This is going to be awesome. And then when we use them on a show, we find little things like, okay, this wasn't the ideal choice for a key light or something like that. You can get all the measurements, get all the readings beforehand and think it's going to be great. And then you find these little things when you're playing with them. So I'm always thinking more towards that, is how is it going to play in real life?
Yeah, absolutely. It's funny. I was talking about with Drew the other day, how when I go to these things, whether it's a trade show or it's a vendor showcase, I don't really look at gear like specifically. I look at like everything and decide what I want to take into a dark room, a few weeks later. It's impossible for me to actually like pick a light at a trade show, but I shop around to see what's there, what's next. But this isn't about me. John, what do you do at trade shows? How do you get information about equipment?
I've definitely learned how to behave as an end user at trade shows. Don't bring to the manufacturer the problems right away. I think the biggest key for me now is to try to establish a little bit of demo time when I get back home. exchange some phone numbers, some emails. So like you said, like Kat said, getting the actual product in your hands to see the build quality of it and using it in your environment, that's key. So the trade show is definitely still the key networking thing for me, to just sort of build those relationships with someone at the manufacturer's end. And then again, to talk to your colleagues, to go and have a drink with Harriet and say, hey, what jumped out at you at this show that I should look at? So yeah, it's over years you learn how to benefit from, I think, the trade show. When you first go there, everybody's in awe, like, oh my goodness, this is amazing. But then you go there and you kind of get to work. You go through and you talk to people.
My first impression was, I can't believe how much haze there is in this room. That's truly, like, oh my God, is this even legal? Since you invoked Harriet's name, Harriet, what about you?
Well, sort of adding on to what John said, it's more for me. Yeah, when you first go, and you can see it in the young sort of college students who go to LDI, they're looking at all the gear, they're touching everything, they're playing with gel, they're looking at what new gobos there are. It's like that's all great, but for me, it's obviously been the personal connections, knowing who develops something, knowing who the head of sales is for a product line, but even more importantly, for the engineers behind that. For for example, for Elation, it's Matthias that I know is developing something or doing the software on it. And just knowing, being able to meet those folks, know them, exchange business cards, hopefully have a meal or something, so that when I have a question, I know who to reach out to. That's the real value of this industry. And a lot of people know, you go buy a Chevy, you can't, and something goes wrong, you can't just call someone at Chevy and be like, the steering's not right. But we can do that in our industry. It's like, this light's not working just right. And it's like, oh, that profile wasn't built exactly right. That dimmer curve does work. Give me a day and I'll get that updated for you. I did that literally last night. One of John's programmer friends for Local 52 needed a profile for a brand new moving light, and it didn't exist for the EOS, and he posted it on Facebook, and it's solved for him now. I just put him in touch with somebody, and it was solved 36 hours later. And so that's the way LDI works for me. And it's the value of our community and our industry that really, that's how I use a trade show. And of course, I see all the new things, and I do exactly what John says. I'll run into Al Crawford and I'll be like, okay, what'd you see in a secret room? He's like, oh, you've got to go see this thing. I'm like, okay, I'll make an effort to see the 5 or 10 brand new things, because I don't need to see what a Lico is. It's like, great, I've seen the Licos and Fresnels. That's great. I'll get to those, So
I have a brand new Lico I was gonna bust out this year.
Dude, the Luster 3 is beautiful.
It is beautiful, but
it really is. I can't wait.
Available to rent at 4Wall.
That's right. Chippa, how about you and your experiences?
Well, my experience has always been on the other side, dealing with people like Kat and Harriet and people at 4Wall and everything else like that. It starts with the connection. It's a place where you can have a free discussion, build those relationships around. Obviously, the end goal is to get people to specify your product or buy your product, everything else like that. But hard selling isn't what a trade show's about, especially in our industry, because it's such a tight-knit community. And for people like Harriet to be able to come back to us and say, listen, dude, I love that new flare, but I need an extra step in that dimming curve. You build those relationships, and then we're able to build and bring products to market that are built around the users. It's not an engineer coming out with an idea. It's a light developed by the users, or a data device, or even a cable that works for the people. So.
Oh, that's awesome. Kat, I'm going to go to you. Have you attended or participated in any virtual equipment demos? Or I know you do instructional videos, but have you watched any during the pandemic, and what are your takeaways?
We had one a private product demo a few months ago where gentleman from tech support was actually taking us through, because it was more of a tech thing. We needed it for a particular project, and so we had really specific questions and needed him to show us. And we did it over. It wasn't Zoom, but something Zoom adjacent. But what was nice was that they had a little lab that they had set up with multiple cameras, so that he could switch between, seeing what he's working on really close here, seeing what the light's doing, seeing what the software's doing, so we could toggle between it and see it. It wasn't perfect. But it was a million times better than trying to read a manual or something. And being able to ask him those questions live made a huge difference, rather than just, watching a training video, which gets you started. I mean, I try to make, I've made a lot of training videos in the last year because I had the time, because there were no shows, very few shows to work on. And those are still, they're fun to do. But I also I have a little side thing where people can sign up, and we do like a 1 hour one-on-one where I answer their whatever Grand MA questions they have. And we look at their show file, see what's, what could be better. And it's just a one-on-one, and it, again, not ideal. It'd be much better to do this in person with real consoles, real fixtures. But for now it's working fine. And it's actually been a delight to do, because the people that I've done this with are just so great and so positive about learning. And so they get so excited about learning something new that it gets me excited again too.
Yeah. And I guess too, if somebody's on the East Coast and you're on the West Coast, it allows people, it allows people who wouldn't normally have access to your training in person, kind of they can reach out to you and do that.
Oh, sure. A couple of my trainees are in Europe, so yeah.
Oh, cool. Yeah. So that's awesome. Harriet, how about you? Have you done any of these virtual equipment demos?
Not really. I have for software, like I've the Carbon for Unreal stuff I'm really interested in, although my skill set in that regard is very low, but it's good to know that it's out there, so I can hopefully hire somebody to help me use it. I feel like if you can't see a light in person, and I know we're talking at the virtual event stuff, it gives me, seeing the stuff virtually is great, and I get to know sort of like what the gobo load is and the size of it and things like that. But ultimately, I'm going to want to see it in person, and I'm willing to travel to a shop to see it in person, when I need to. So. But,
and Chippa as team, Chippa is TMB doing sort of any virtual demos, or have you participated in any?
Yeah, we've managed to do a few. I think building on what Kat and Harriet were saying, that whole being able to see the light in person is key. We can put a new Solaris product out there. We can get our new Mozart UV out there, but you really just don't get the feel for it, the zero visible light or anything else like that sometimes on the virtual thing. But on the backside of it, looking at infrastructure products like data distribution, ArtNet, streaming ACN devices, and network architecture has been very beneficial virtually, because it's you get to that person straight away, and you're able to convey that information because you can grab a lead tech support guy who's going to answer those deep questions. So it's a mixed bag. I think the whole virtual thing will never go away now, but I think it'll be a combination.
That was going to be kind of a follow-up is, do you think, will TMB continue to have virtual stuff as an option for people who maybe don't have the means to go or just are too busy? So is that something that, some of the vendors should just keep as part of just the norm,
I think yes. In short, yes, because the COVID times that we've had has actually enabled the engineering teams and stuff to work flawlessly through operating softwares and getting rid of bugs, because without any shows out there saying I need an update or I need a patch or something like that, the engineers could really focus. Getting that out into the real world, you can't convey that sometimes because you've got maybe a 30-second demo, a 2-minute demo. That's about as long as you're going to get. And then after that, it's someone like myself coming to the office and let's do a 2-hour demo and lunch. So you're building around those sort of things. So having both environments really helps.
Right. John, how about you?
Well, one real positive for me and a bunch of my colleagues has been to embrace this virtual conversations, and we actually put together an international group of cinema lighting people, and we call it the ICLS, and we do a Saturday get together, and we've done a lot of virtual demos, and some of them are really advanced with 3 cameras, 4 camera shoots, and they've really come a long way. But I think we're not going to go backwards. We're just going to go forward with this. I think we took our community and tightened it up, and we have a Q&A now going on and a server. And I think the one thing we did as part of the entertainment industry is we looked at our resources and built off it. So I think, we have a software update page where as a group, we put it out there and we share whether or not we're having an issue, talk about new products. I think in the manufacturers will embrace this and this new way of getting the message out, and I think we'll benefit as a community. But you're right, we'll always want to have the light. We'll actually want to have the fixture and play with it and learn it. But I think just wrapping your head around it before you get it is valuable too.
Sure.
Yeah, and I will say, as far as virtual stuff that I've been a part of, I've never met Jeff, and we've been doing this virtual roundtable for over a year. So I think it's super beneficial. I think it should stay. I mean, I know everybody's gonna go back to being in person soon, but I have a feeling that virtual events and everything will always be part of the industry moving forward. But
another tool in the toolkit.
Yeah, exactly.
Absolutely.
So,
but just because John touched on a thing, or Chippa did, the fact that everybody's had time for R&D is one of the reasons that I'm absolutely going to LDI this year, because I think frequently you'll see patterns in our industry where somebody comes out with like, oh, this light has 2 prisms in it or something, and next year every light has 2 prisms in it, and so there's people riff off it, manufacturers riff off each other, and that's nice. But because we've had this downtime, everybody's sort of gone back to their own respective drawing boards, and I'm expecting a jump in technology in different directions from different manufacturers, and we're all gonna walk around next year and be like, oh, this is amazing, and then even the year after, then it's going to be riffing off each other again, to nobody's fault. But I think that it'll level up a lot of our equipment, and I kind of can't wait to see it. I think it'll be great.
And we'll see who has the thing, which manufacturer actually makes the thing that everybody wants, because it's been a while. I don't think there's been a thing that everyone wants in quite some time. So I want to know what that is. But let's get to what everyone really wants to know. And Harriet, we're going to stick with you because you were the last one to speak, and now you get to make this decision. There is no more circle bar. What's the replacement for the circle bar? What's it going to be? Everybody wants to know.
I know Corey Froke is on here, and he despises the circle bar. The real problem is, and I'm open to ideas, because everybody thinks Vegas is open 24/7, and it certainly is, but there's not a bar that can handle 300 people and is open 24 hours a day. And trust me, I've looked. I promise you, I've looked. Prior to the Palms closing and possibly disappearing, their big sort of shark bar. Corey and I actually were the last ones, maybe the last ones there a year and a half ago. To go to, I went to the bartender and I said, look, if the circle bar doesn't exist, if I came in with 200 people, would you stay open? Because they normally close at 2. And they said, look, if there's 200 people here, we'll still be here serving, which shouldn't be a problem. Right. But in all honesty, I'm going to Vegas in July, and I will be staying at the Virgin, and I believe their new bar is open 24 hours. All right. It is not a circle bar. It's a little more enclosed. I just want to see if it can handle even 100 or 150 people, and if we spill out onto the casino floor, then that's their problem.
So does anyone? Let's pass this around. John, do you have an opinion about where?
Well, I think Drew and Kat are going to have to scout it with Herrick.
Yeah. Drew, if you're in Vegas,
I'm here. That's where I live. Hey, you let me know.
Right. Let's do it.
We'll go to Drew's house.
Yeah.
Can you accommodate 200 people? Kat, do you have an opinion about where the next gathering is going to be?
Yeah, I have two. We'll call them scouting trips to Vegas next month.
Oh,
Sure.
see?
But Herrick, I'll be texting you. Don't worry.
Yes.
Yeah, you know what? That the replacement-ish bar at Virgin, I think it's like at the Commons or something. It's more like a lobby bar, as far as I can tell. Much smaller. Certainly not circular. I don't know how many people it can fit. But I think, so many of us are just creatures of habit, even though it's not the Hard Rock, it's the Virgin. I think a lot of people are still going to stay there. It's convenient to the convention center. It's convenient to the Strip. I think we'll be forced into something there, even if it isn't great, just by the basis of everyone's there. I think there are other options in town. There's two that I can think of, but neither are ideal. One, there is a Circle Bar at Planet Hollywood. Not an amazing place to be or stay, but because they do so many residencies there, I can tell you from my experience doing a residency, they are very used to production people staying there all night. They're very accommodating. It is circular, but it's much smaller. It's maybe half the size of the Circle Bar.
Yeah.
Well, no, sort of. It's open. I mean, but there are booths and stuff around. We're not going to fit enough people. What I think would be an interesting one, and no one's going to go for this, but I think an interesting one would be the Chandelier Bar at the Cosmo, because there's a lot of space and there's levels. So instead of just making a circle around the bar to see who's there, now you could sort of,
look over, like
they close it. I believe they close
down.
One. Yeah, I think their specialist bar, their mixology bar, closes relatively early by our standards, like midnight or 1.
Yeah.
And they frequently need like reservations.
Like a bay. 4 Walls is gonna have to take a big prep bay and just make it a bar for a week, right?
Well, there's no reason. It's funny because and I know this is going on longer than we need for this silly conversation, but
that's okay.
This is important information.
It's the core of LDI, really.
Yeah.
Right. I know Chippa was talking about buying part of the Circle Bar and having it in the TMB booth, but there is a world where maybe we do buy out a bar or buy out a giant suite and just have it open. The problem is, of course, paying for the booze. Like the hotel's going to want a VIG and they're going to want to have their own bar service and stuff. But in the end, that's just cost and negotiation and figuring it out. And I used to throw parties at LDI every year, and it's doable. We gotta figure it out, and that's part of the reason. I'll check back in July.
Okay, we heard it here first. Herrick is buying out a bar that everyone
If you buy out the Double Down, I think that would be great.
I would love the Double Down.
I know, but then the locals will be in there.
What do you? We haven't gotten to you here yet. Do you have a thought on this?
The Hard Rock was just what it was, and everybody loved it. I mean, in the last year we were there, I think it was 2019, they opened up that second section, second gaming floor down that end, and the Circle Bar was so busy some nights that we had Circle Bar 2 going on over there, and that was the overflow. I think there was nearly 500 people in there, and you can stand there and run into everybody you need to. So having a place like that, and I think Kat hit on it earlier, that I think we are creatures of habit. A lot of our friends and people in the industry don't necessarily like staying on the Strip because it's kind of a little inconvenient to where the airport and the show floor is. And that Hard Rock is just a great 10 minutes back this way, 10 minutes that way. You've got the people that stay at the old Hilton, the Westgate, I guess. And everyone seems to meet there. It's easy to get in and out of, too, if something's going on. So I think Virgin might have a win if we can wrangle it.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, you heard it here. You heard it here first, folks. All right. Well, let's get into a short, memorable Circle Bar moment that you can share with us. And Chippa, I'm sticking with you.
Short story.
Well, short story. Just one that I can actually repeat.
Well,
without incriminating a few people.
Just use no names.
There was one year at the Circle Bar that I actually went around with a camera, and we all like to have a few drinks in the evening, everything else like that, and by 2 a.m. it's a little blurry. And every person I ran into, I took a picture with. and I think I had close to 280 shots on my phone the next day that I was scrolling through. So it's those sort of memories at the Circle Bar. But the way it worked was you could just stand there, and the train went this way, and then the outer train went that way. And as people came in and out off the train, you get an opportunity to run into them. I think there's some pretty good videos of people, if we could ever get the security footage from the Hard Rock, of stumbling out of there at certain stages. I know there was one night for myself that I think one of the guys that he has a video of, like, you know, the meander back over to the lift was quite, you know, and here's a look at that the next day. But yeah.
Well, that's awesome. John, how about you?
Well, you know, I'll be honest with you. I really didn't go to that bar as much. I think I might have met Harriet there once. But at the time, I think at the time I was being very responsible, because I think I was the only one that would make it in the morning to the booth I was working in, and it would be an hour or so before people would wander in. So I kind of always felt like, you know what, somebody had to open the booth, you know, and be there. So I was always a little bit more
tragic
in control. Yeah, tragic, right?
Harriet, how about you?
I mean, there's so many. My favorite thing to do is, you know, are the folks that I would roll in with from dinner, you know, around 11 o'clock, like, would sort of settle at one spot on the clock, as it were, and I would just make an effort about every hour or so to slowly try and walk a circle, which usually would take me about 45 minutes and 3 or 4 shots or drinks on the way. But it's actually great, because you'll run into friends from college, or friends that you just, you know, have been in other countries and other states, and that was just the value of that. You know, Jeff, like, I'd run into Curtis Casafang, who we knew from college and hadn't seen in 30 years, and now Curtis and I talk every couple months. So that's kind of great. And then my actual other, my other favorite thing is Richard Bellevue, who developed the Cyberlight, is known for staying extremely late at the Circle Bar, as am I. And for about 4 years running, we would end up stumbling over to Lucky's for breakfast at about 4 a.m. And both of us would be relatively incoherent. And I remember him going, "What do you want from a new light? Tell me, and I'll make it." And it's just random one-on-one drunken conversation about the state of manufacturing and what's possible and things like that. And I actually really kind of cherish that. It's great. I don't even know if he remembers this. But
I think the other thing about the Circle Bar that everyone forgets is you could hear a conversation from the other side of the bar through the roof. So if you were looking for somebody, sometimes going through the crowd wasn't the right way. It was to kind of just move yourself left or right a couple of feet and see what you could hear coming back over the acoustics in that room. I think the amount of conversations that were overheard in that place was pretty phenomenal.
Yeah.
Cool. And Kat, how about you?
Perfect timing.
Yeah.
Yeah. What do I remember from the Circle Bar? That's the problem. Too many drinks. Yeah, I mean, same thing that Harriet said about, you know, like, seeing people you haven't seen in forever, or especially the ones you're surprised you weren't expecting to see them. It's refreshing. It's just a nice thing to do. But mostly I just drink too. The drinks just keep appearing, and I don't really remember a whole lot at this point.
Well, that's honestly a great story. You don't remember, right?
That is right. John, did John get to say, or I can't remember now?
I did. But you know what? I did want to add one, because Elliot would throw these Christmas parties in the New Jersey shop, and those were always a lot of fun. So I'd have to say that those were pretty memorable. I think, Harriet, you've been to a few of those, I'm sure.
Yep.
Cool. As our time dwindles away, we're gonna do a rapid fire section, but let's take this next question first as a pretend rapid fire. Staying with you, John, what do you miss most about trade shows? I mean, I think we sort of touched on this, but is there one thing?
People, being around people, people, probably number one, then there's obviously the trade show business, the gear, but I think just the
stick with number one.
Yeah, the relationships. Miss the relationships.
Survey says relationships. Kat, how about you?
Same. It's all about seeing people. I got to be honest. We don't spend a whole lot of time on the show floor. We will go one day, maybe for a morning, and we're good. Everything else is seeing people outside of the floor.
Cool. Chippa, how about you?
Yeah, same thing. It's a draw for people. You know, this industry is built on people. It's built on relationships, and it's built on meals and one-on-ones. And you know, I miss it dearly.
Cool. Harriet, you want to add anything to that?
Pretty similar. There was some discussion early on in COVID that when we come back, the trade show booths will be smaller because manufacturers won't be able to afford to do these giant productions. And to that, I say it's fine. Just bring people. You know, put 3 moving lights on a workbox and show me what the new thing is. That's great. But really, I want to know who to call. I want to build the relationships and have these. That's the most valuable thing of our industry. The lights are always
that. All of that money spent on these enormous exhibits. It's like, you know, who are you trying to impress?
Somewhere Alan Lampert is going, no, don't say that.
Yeah, I know. Well, maybe that's true, but they're still gonna go. You know, I think they're just trying to outdo each other, right? Isn't that what they do? I mean, it's just so that one can be better than the next. It's not for us.
And that's great. And it's keeping a lot of our friends busy and the programmers, and certainly it's nice to see a well-programmed show and something that's really, really whiz bang. But that's for me, that's not what that's about.
Yeah, I would say the same thing. But maybe, you know what? There's probably people out there that do go for that and love it, and then steal it and use it somewhere else in some place. You know,
man,
we've digressed. Rapid fire.
Yes.
Yeah. So I forgot to do the video. Jeff's right.
All right.
Roundtable rapid fire. There, I did.
Okay. 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 Here we go. We're gonna start with Chippa. Okay. Rapid fire. Chippa, most memorable moment at a 4-wall party.
Staying up all night and the people.
Yeah. Harriet.
I never make it to the 4-wall parties in Vegas because I'm always at the Circle Bar, but I miss Brian Dowd's barbecue in Jersey.
Hell yes. Kat.
It's hard to say. I mean, we're just sort of drinking and seeing friends. We had a great picture of a couple of friends that were at the last 4-wall party with me, and I don't remember taking it. But afterwards, we looked at it and decided, okay, that's our band cover album. So we got one of those.
Memorable moment. Perfect. Memorable moment that you didn't remember. That's the best kind. John, how about you?
I'm gonna echo what Harriet said, the barbecue, and I think just the warmth that the staff at 4-wall brings to that one in New Jersey. You know, they really welcome you here, which is great. That's why I work here. So, another plug.
We're all about the plugs. We're all about the plugs.
And the barbecue. God, it was great. Okay, John, we're going to stick with you. Moving on. Last day of LDI. It's been a week, a crazy week. What do you order at the bar? What's your cocktail on the last day?
A margarita. I'm always margarita. That's my standard.
Great. Pat, last day of LDI. What are you drinking?
For me, it depends on what bar I'm at because I'm very picky about my cocktails and depends on what they have. Like the Circle Bar was awful. I mean, horrible drinks.
Right.
But that's fine. I wasn't there for the drinks. If I'm at a good place, a good solid one is a Manhattan.
Fantastic. Harriet.
Actually, last day of LDI, I will wander in with my luggage onto the show floor and make Chippa pour me Bloody Marys, and then I'll head off to the airport.
Great. Chippa.
Yep.
A screwdriver. 100%. Funny enough,
Fantastic.
for the 10,000 Bloody Marys I've made, I don't drink them myself because I don't like tomato juice.
Hilarious. Chippa, an innovation that has made your life easier. One innovation that has made your life easier.
The iPhone.
Harriet.
Actually, in our industry, the DMX cat has actually been awesome.
Great.
Yeah.
Cat.
I agree with the first two. Oh my God, the DMX cat is one of my favorite things ever. And the iPhone makes our lives immeasurably better and also worse.
Yeah, true. Also true. John.
I'm going to agree with, again, iPhone, DMX cat, but I think CRMX and I guess now multiverse, wireless for film set lighting is a home run.
Yeah.
Thank you, Gary Fales. Cool. Something, John, sticking with you, something you want to invent, anything at all, work or otherwise. What do you want to invent?
I'd like to see a very large, powerful LED equivalent to what we use in film industry, like a 10K or 20K, something that is massive in output and a great shadow, maker.
Me too.
You should talk to Chippa.
Yeah, I was going to say, we'll send that up next week, John.
We'll talk. We'll talk.
Everybody wants.
See, there it is. There it is. You just had
an
LDI.
What do you want to?
An LDI moment. Yep.
An LDI moment. Here it is. Kat, what do you want to invent?
I don't have any ideas here. I would prefer just to be inspired by, what I see. Because when you see a new light, new product, it's immediately, what can I do with that? So yeah.
Sure. You can say time machine. That's an invention that you can. Harriet, what do you want to invent? Anything at all?
If I can take time machine, great.
Anything at all?
I don't know. It's got to be something that reads your brain into a lighting console and just stuff happens. But usually we call those programmers. So I don't want to put that out
your brain.
That's
right. Where were we? Chippa, what do you want to invent? Or what have you invented? You can say, since you work on it. What do you want to invent?
Teleportation. I'd love to be able to travel without having to the throes of traveling.
Chippa, best advice you were given by anyone. Best advice.
Be honest and never be afraid to say no.
Cool. Harriet.
In our industry, say yes to everything, but don't be afraid to advocate for yourself. Like, don't get abused, but absolutely don't think, oh, that's not for me, because there are opportunities around every corner.
Yeah. Yep. Great. Kat.
I've learned a lot from Butch Allen, but one of my favorite things that he will tell you is nothing is precious. You've made a great look, and if the artist doesn't like it, get over it. Make a new look.
Right. Excellent advice. John.
You guys covered so many good ones, but I do have one from an old cinematographer who at one point we all kind of relied on meters to do the heavy lifting. He said, use your eyes. Your eyes are your best tools. Use your eyes, and you'll always be, confident in what you did and you're proud of.
Great advice from everyone. Drew, we should put together a little video of all the great advice that we've had from all of our guests over time. Oh. It's good stuff.
Yeah, it is.
John, something you hold, please. Something you love about what you do. John, something you love about what you do.
I'm loving the fact that I can now mentor the next generation, to be honest with you. There's so many young folks getting into at least the film end of the industry, that they are just, the energy that they give me when they look at you and hear what you have to say about your experiences is what really drives me now.
Kat, something you love about what you do.
Easy travel. Getting to go places around the world on someone else's dime. It's amazing.
Yes. Totally. Harriet.
We got to play blackjack in Monaco on somebody else's dime. And it was
fantastic. We did. And we had Vespers. Yeah.
Amazing. Wow.
Yeah, that was great. I just love the people and the diversity of projects, the diversity of people, and every crew is a new family. And it's so much fun. It's just so great to walk in somewhere pretty much cold and leave a week or 10 days later with new friends and a new group of people you can work with and rely on. It's great.
Cool. Yep. Chippa.
Listening to programmers and designers and everything, what they want, and being able to turn that into reality with products. I think it drives our industry.
Amazing. Yeah. Well, we're almost at the end. Let's pretend we're still rapid firing. Drew, why don't you take it? So actually, while Drew asks this next question, if anyone who's watching has any questions, right, they can ask they can ask
Yeah,
questions?
yeah,
now?
we got some. We got some that I have in here that we'll bring in towards the end.
Okay, great.
Yeah. Well, let's do this kind of rapid fire, but we have time. I just got word we're good. We don't have to worry.
Okay, fantastic.
Excellent.
So, Harriet, let's go with you. What has COVID life been for you? Anything that you've ignored that you're finally getting to or wanted to get to? Cooking something you never did before?
Early on, I was super productive, and I got my OSHA 30, and I re-upped my MA skills online, and then it just sort of was like, oh, I'm getting fat, so I bought a bike, tried to avoid the subway, and now I bike everywhere I can, which has been really great. I blame Brendan Gray mostly for that. So I'm just looking forward to getting out of it. We were fortunately pretty busy enough, and thanks to John and some people he's introduced me to, I was pretty busy doing some films during COVID. So it's been
cool.
Fortunately, it was like that. Yeah.
So. Great.
And Chippa, how about you? Do you set up your laptop right there, and that's where you do all your calls on the bar?
So where you bake bread?
Actually, funny enough, I rotate around the house. Everybody has a designated desk in the house except for myself. So just depending on who's here is where I go to. But I think the thing that I learned the most was fitting back into my family's life. We just spent so much time on the road. You don't realize that their lives are going on while you're not there. And for the first couple of weeks, just sitting back and working out how do I fit back into their lives. That was one of the toughest things.
Yeah, that's great. Kat, how about you?
I don't cook, so there was no sourdough happening, anything like that. No, I've had that my training website, Console Trainer, since like 2007, and
I think we have the link if we can put that up.
Yeah, there it is.
I try to make videos when I can, but I mean, when you're working, it's impossible. And I am not fast at making these videos. I know a lot of people just do the thing, like just record it live, kind of like a Zoom webinar. I hate those.
Yeah.
So it takes me a lot longer, but with the time down, I figured, okay, I know there's a couple of topics that everyone always asks me about. Let me focus and make just like 3 or 4 videos, cover those. They're done. They're in there. And then this went on for longer and longer. So I went, you know what? I'm going to put out 1 video a week for as long as this goes, or for a year. That's going to be my cap. And I just hit that year last month. So taking a short pause, but also a pause just because right now I'm trying to make Grandma 3 videos. And because it's still being developed, there's a couple of topics that I don't want to cover the way that they are in the software right now. But what I'm seeing in the alphas looks really good. So I'm like, you know what? I'm going to hold off on this topic till the next version of the software comes out.
Awesome. And John, how about you?
Well, I kind of took a deep dive into the world of virtual production and learning a little bit more about how the film industry is embracing some of the LED environments. And so that's really kept me really busy because it seems to be the hot topic right now. So I kind of focused a little bit, again, in what I do, in the industry and how it's going to expand, try to do some more forward thinking. I wanted to keep creative during the whole COVID process, and not try to get shut down into this world of, there is no future. So kind of wanted to look forward.
Cool.
Awesome. I was going to say, don't say you've just been golfing the entire time. Our bosses are watching us.
No.
I know. I'm just teasing. Cool, Jeff.
Did everyone answer that one?
Yeah.
My God. How long have we been doing this?
It's all right. It's early for you. It's early.
Yeah, I have no excuse actually. Why don't we take a couple of questions before we hit our last one? Let's take a question from the
cool. We got
from
one
viewer.
from Mike Farmer, who's actually one of our producers early on in the roundtable. He said, "Chippa, how long was your hair in '99?"
There you go.
Oh, it was probably a lot fluffier as opposed to longer. My hair doesn't really grow long. It kind of gets the beetle thing going, and yeah.
All right, and we have
cool. Go ahead, Drew.
Nathan Mills says, "Give one insider secret to having a great LDI experience." Does anybody want to take that one?
Try to sleep 3 hours a night.
Good. Why don't we go around? John, do you want to take that one also? Let's give everyone a shot.
I started to take pictures and do notes, sort of organize it, as like a diary. That was sort of my goal. And then again, like earlier, grab some contact name and number on stuff that I thought would be worth following up afterwards.
Cool. Kat, or anyone, go dive right
for
in.
having a great LDI experience, I would say do not go to the show floor on Sunday. It's depressing. I can't really explain it. There's very few people there, and it's a different vibe. It's a different vibe.
It's
really
a worn
vibe.
out vibe
That's
on
good.
Sunday.
Yeah.
But, don't be afraid to ask the manufacturers questions. Like, we're there to answer anything we can and here to help you guys. So don't be afraid.
Yeah.
We don't bite.
One more, Drew, and if anyone else has a question, please, you can dive right in right now. But Drew, there's one more, I think.
Yep. Do any of you do the extra learning opportunities that are available with LDI? I was gonna say you guys probably been asked to teach some of them, but maybe early on, was that something that you would do, Harriet?
Yeah, I've taught a few, but early on, I certainly did, especially with. There was like what became like the Broadway lighting masterclass used to happen at LDI, and so it was like Peggy Eisenhower and Ken Billington doing a roundtable conversation. I would certainly attend those. There have been some really handy programmer roundtables. They're great. For me, sometimes it's hard to get to. You find that you're like, oh man, I need to be there, and it's a 15-minute walk, and it's only an hour long. But I know a lot of people who've done the console training stuff that have gotten there a couple days early, and have had great success with that. Also for media servers, just it's great. Yeah, and the developers are there teaching you, so you're really getting good quality education. So
cool.
Yeah.
Kat?
I mean, when I worked at High End, I would give hog training seminars there at LDI. That was always kind of fun. My husband at the time worked for ACT Lighting, so we would often have my room with the hogs, and next door was his room with the MAs. That was always kind of fun.
That's like Red Sox Yankee stuff.
Kind of.
Yeah, a lot of people assume that, and it's like, yeah, you know what? That's not how this industry is at all.
Yeah.
No.
I mean, if there was an EOS in there, maybe, but
I do remember Joe coming into my classroom before one of the classes one morning, and he never touched a hog, and he's just like, let me just see if I can patch something, and of course he got it done no problem because he's a genius, and it's like, get out, go.
John, how about you? Do you do any of and not only at LDI, but at like NAM or something too?
No, I haven't, and I was planning on doing it now because I feel like I have a little better schedule. I can do something like that. I always feel that every second is has something, a task to do. So regretfully, no, I have not.
Yeah. And Chippa, I don't think you leave the booth, but have you?
Yeah, we do every now and again when you really need to rest your voice for a couple of minutes. There's always some great sessions out there, and listening to people speak about experiences is one of my faves.
Cool. Awesome. Well, here we are. We've come to the last question that we're going to ask our esteemed panel. Chippa, we're going to stick with you. What advice do you have for young people who want to do what you do?
Ooh, tough one. Don't be afraid. I mean, picking up the phone and calling someone off the cusp is probably nerve-wracking for a lot of people. But
I mean, a popular answer has been don't do it. But sorry, go ahead. Pick up the phone. Well, let's stick with that.
Pick up the phone and call someone and have a conversation. If you can connect with people on a personal level or just on a level life goes along pretty well in the sales and development industries.
Yeah.
Texting's not it, young folks.
Well, unfortunately now, you are texting because a lot of the young folks do text you. You've got WhatsApp, all of the social media platforms, and people come in on all platforms now. So
True enough. John, advice for young people who want to do what you do.
Yeah, and I do give it. So I always say the most important thing is to be on time. The basics, be on time and be respectful, stay focused. Those are the key ingredients, I think, that make you, people want to be around you, and just keep pushing. Don't give up. It's this industry is pretty much, it'll give you what you want as long as you want it. It's pretty simple.
Great advice. Yeah, very true. Kat, advice for young people.
If they want to be a programmer, I mean, first off, that comment about time is so important, and it's so easy. You don't have to know anything or be an expert at anything to be on time. It's just so easy.
Yep.
Do that. But I mean, for programmers, it's so much easier now to learn because there's all these offline editors. There's online training. There's videos you can watch. The manuals are bountiful. But I think for most programmers that are starting out, the opportunity that you want to find is to program for someone else. A lot of people when they're starting, they're programming, they're doing a small show. They're the programmer, designer, operator, whatever. You're not really going to learn what it is to be a programmer until you're building for someone else what they want to see, because it's so easy when it's just for you. So take those jobs with a designer and learn from them. I mean, the great thing about being a programmer is you get to work with all these different designers who have all these different perspectives and artistic styles, and you steal from them.
What's funny is that runs both ways, because I learned so much from the programmers I work for, from the well-established programmers, and I sort of maybe pass that on to the younger programmers. But being in a room with someone, coming up with ideas, I if I say something, I can look to someone sitting near me who's actually punching it in, and I say to myself, what a great idea. That's how you do that. So smart. Harriet, advice for young people.
Yeah, don't be afraid to it's sort of what Chip has said. There's a couple things. Don't be afraid to reach out to people that you're in, who do work that you're interested in or that inspires you. We're not like some giant, people who are unreachable and untouchable. Send an email, drop a text, find me on social media. If you're around in town, I will gladly get coffee. It's just, don't be afraid to be like, hey, can we just go for coffee and talk? It's easy. We're all accessible, and we're all looking for new people and new assistants and associates all the time. The other thing that nobody ever told me in college, and Jeff, I know we were obviously there at the same time, as you can tell from folks like Chippa and Drew, our industry relies on manufacturers and salespeople and the support network that our art doesn't get created without these people. So just because you go to college for lighting design doesn't mean that you shouldn't go work for, at the time I have friends who worked for Wybron and helped make color scrollers better, which was a massive upgrade for all of us, and we need people who are smart in design, but also in engineering and technology to really lift all of our work up. So don't just poo-poo that side of the industry. It's totally worth it.
There's a whole world out there. Very true.
Yeah,
That's part of why we started the Roundtable. That's part of what we do. And people who've watched notice we don't have only lighting designers on. There's so many other people that work in support of lighting designers and on all of live entertainment. There's a whole world out there. So yeah, that's great advice. Look and see. There's a place for you if you want to be in the lighting business or in the entertainment business. There's a place for everyone.
Yeah, anywhere.
Join the circus. Does anyone want to add, retract, or clarify anything you've said? Here's your chance to take it all back or clear it up. Drew, I think no takers.
No takers.
Oh, I got one. I'm not actually drinking whiskey right now.
Okay.
It's 9 a.m.
Oh, that's right.
That big of an alcoholic.
As they say, it's 9 p.m. somewhere. So
that's right.
For our European friends.
Yeah.
What it's worth. Yeah.
Well, thank you, panel. Harriet, Kat, Chippa, and John. It was a super fun discussion. So thank you. We appreciate it, and we'll see you soon. Let me know when you're in
everyone.
Bye, everybody.
Thank you so much.
Very good.
Thank you.
All on the show floor.
All righty.
Yeah.
Yeah.